Want to win an argument without raising your voice? Sell yourself without feeling slimy or smarmy? Change someone's mind, or better yet, their behavior? Science can help. I spent 25 years studying persuasion, motivation, and behavior, from my time working in the White House to writing 7 books on human psychology and business. I've seen it my entire life, and here's what I've learned. Persuasion isn't magic, it's method. Anyone can learn it. And in this video, I'll show you 7 science-backed lessons that will make you dangerously persuasive. Lesson 1, don't be a strong extrovert. That's right, the loudest people aren't the most persuasive people. We tend to picture persuasive types the same way, backslapping, grinning, chatting all the time, the full blast extrovert. But science says otherwise. A Wharton study measured the introversion and extroversion levels of a group of software salespeople, then tracked how much they actually sold. The shocker? The strong extroverts generally were terrible. They sold less than almost anyone. But strong introverts weren't great either. The real stars? The ambiverts, people who were somewhat introverted and somewhat extroverted. Ambivert, that term's been around since the 1920s. Introversion and extroversion aren't binary, they exist on a spectrum, and ambiverts live in the middle. Strong introverts hold back too much. Strong extroverts assert too much. But the people in the middle, the ambiverts, hit the sweet spot. They know when to talk confidently, but they also know when to listen attentively. They know when to push, but they also know when to step back. They are ambidextrous. And here's the best part. Most of us are ambiverts. You probably are too. So forget the myth that you have to be a full-size, outgoing, super large personality to persuade. The power isn't in being loud. It's knowing when to speak and when to shut up. Lesson 2, explain why. Here's one of the craziest and most famous studies in the annals of persuasion science. Harvard University, 1977, a line of people waiting for the copy machine. Researchers send an assistant to cut the line, but they use 3 different approaches. The first one, excuse me, I have 5 pages, may I use the Xerox machine? About 60% said yes. That's not bad, actually. In the second version, they added a real reason. May I use the Xerox machine because I'm in a rush? Now 94% said yes. In the third version, the assistant said, may I use the Xerox machine because I have to make copies? Now, that made no sense. Everyone was there to make copies. But guess what? 93% still said yes. The magic word? Because. Our brains are wired for reasons. The moment someone explains why, resistance can drop. And this goes way beyond office equipment. One Harvard study found cafeteria cooks made better food when they could see the people they were serving on a live iPad feed. Seeing why they were cooking made their food taste better. So, when you're asking for something or leading a team or pitching an idea, don't just tell people what, show them why. And when in doubt, use the most persuasive word of all, because. Why? Because it works. Lesson 3, enlist social proof. When we're unsure how to act, we look around for hints from the people nearby. Psychologists call it social proof. And as the great Robert Cialdini teaches, it's a powerful lever in persuasion. Here's one of my favorite studies. A hotel in Phoenix tested signs asking guests to reuse their towels. Signs that said, help save the environment or protect resources for future generations. Those messages worked on about 30% of people. Then the researchers tried a new sign. Almost 75% of guests who stay here reuse their towels. Boom! Towel reuse jumped to roughly 44%. And when they made it even more specific, 75% of guests who stayed in this room reuse their towels, the number rose again. Why? Because we take cues from the behavior of people like us in situations like ours. When we're uncertain, we copy the crowd. So, next time you want to persuade, focus less on what people should do and more on what people actually do. When you're on your way to persuade, always pack some social proof. Lesson 4, the good news, bad news dilemma. You've said this before. I've got some good news and some bad news. But which should come first? Most people lead with the good. It feels kind, softer, like a cushion. Others try the sandwich. Good, bad, good. But research says that might be a mistake. A fascinating study at UC Riverside found that when given a choice, well over half of people choose to give the good news first. But when asked how they wanted to receive the information, 4 out of 5 people said, give me the bad news up front. That's interesting, but here's the twist. People who heard the bad news first felt better, but they were less motivated to improve. So how do you get this right? Well, if you're a boss, a parent, or anyone delivering tough feedback, lead with the bad, then pivot to the good, and this is key, then move to the action. Like this: your performance on this project missed the mark. The good news is you usually nail this, and here's how to fix it next time. Start with the truth, end with hope. That's how you move people forward. Lesson 5, rhyme. Rhymes don't just sound good, they feel true. Psychologists call it the rhyme as reason effect. When something sounds right, we assume it is right. Researchers at Lafayette College showed this in a clever experiment. They gave people pairs of proverbs, one that rhymed and one that didn't, and asked which was more accurate. What sobriety conceals, alcohol reveals, versus what sobriety conceals, alcohol unmasks. Woes unite foes versus woes unite enemies. Same meaning, different sound. And guess what? People overwhelmingly rated the rhyming version as more believable. That's because rhymes are easier for our brains to process, and anything that increases process fluency will make it more likely that your message will stick. Not just rhymes either. Alliteration increases processing fluency. Lists increase processing fluency. Repetition increases processing fluency. Repetition increases processing fluency. Repetition increases processing fluency. But rhymes do this especially well. That's one reason why kids begin to master language using nursery rhymes. So, when you're trying to persuade in a speech, a slogan, a pitch, rhyme is your silent ally. Just think about it. If it doesn't fit, you must acquit. No pain, no gain. Fake it till you make it. So, make time to rhyme. It's sublime. I do it all the time. Lesson 6, use questions strategically. Most people try to persuade with statements, but sometimes the smarter move is to ask a question. When the facts are on your side, questions outperform declarations, because questions make people generate their own reasons to agree with you. Ronald Reagan used this brilliantly in 1980. He was running against incumbent President Jimmy Carter during a time of high inflation and high unemployment. During the televised debate, he didn't tell voters, "Your economic situation has deteriorated the last 4 years." He asked them, "Are you better off now than you were 4 years ago?" That question helped reframe an election. In one sentence, he sparked millions of Americans to think through the evidence themselves. And when people do that, they often reach your conclusions on their own, and the reasons stick. The same principle drives a counseling technique called motivational interviewing. Instead of telling someone to become less of a couch potato, you ask, on a scale of 1 to 10, how ready are you to start exercising? And when they say, "I'm a 2, you don't argue. You ask, well, why are you not a 1? Now they're arguing for change, not arguing against change. You can even use this on yourself. Don't tell yourself you can do it. Ask yourself, can you do it, and how? It flips your brain from pep talk to problem solving. So, the next time you want to move someone or yourself, don't declare, ask, can you do that? Lesson 7, make it easy to act. Most people think persuasion means changing people's minds, but often it's smarter to change their situations. Here's what I mean. In their landmark book, The Person and the Situation, Lee Ross and Richard Nisbett describe how researchers tried to increase donations on a campus food drive. They sent one group of people a heartfelt letter. They sent another group the same letter, but added the exact day, time, and location, and they added a reminder call. That tiny tweak, a clear off-ramp for action, massively boosted donations, even among people who had never donated food before. No mind changing, just easier doing. In another famous study, researchers compared countries with nearly identical cultures, but different organ donation defaults. In countries where the default was opt-in, you had to check a box to become a donor, participation hovered around 15%. Where the default was opt-out, you had to uncheck a box not to be a donor, rates soared above 90%. No massive persuasion campaign, no moral appeals, just one tiny change in a simple form and a 7-fold jump in life-saving behavior. Because here's the truth. When you argue with someone, they don't loosen their beliefs, they often tighten them. Push too hard and you don't open your mind, you seal their mind off. So don't just hammer your message, pave the road. Make it easy for people to go where you want them to go. That's how you persuade. not by winning arguments, but by designing better off-ramps. So there you have it, 7 science-backed ways to become dangerously persuasive. Don't talk louder, talk less. Ask why, show proof, lead with the bad news, rhyme when it helps, ask better questions, and make it effortless to act. Because persuasion isn't power over people, it's power with people. The skill of helping others see, feel, and act just a little differently. Use it wisely, because now you are dangerously persuasive.